This is my oral proposal for advanced public speaking at Brandman University, and I will be presenting this proposal as if I were speaking to my chain of command within the Navy. Thank you. Hello, I am Petty Officer Cooney, and I have been in the Navy for 7 years. During my time in the Navy, I have seen a lot of junior sailor development, including run-ins with final irresponsibility, and in a broader sense, an inability to understand responsibilities and decisions that come with being an adult. A large part of this problem in our junior single sailors, I believe, is the assignment of them to the barracks for years on end, where they do not have their own bedrooms, they do not pay rent or utilities, and they are expected to eat all their meals in the on-base galley. They do not pay out of pocket for their food and do not have many choices within the galley. I believe this whole arrangement to be an extension of living with parents, and I think it really limits the growth of our junior single sailors, as well as their impression of what adult responsibilities are really like. I am here today to propose that we change the system by doing away with the barracks system as we know it, and by giving our junior sailors their basic allowance for housing and basic sustenance allowance. I know this is a radical idea. I know many of you here today lived in the barracks and ate galley food as a young single sailor, just waiting for the day when you would rank up or get married and be able to live on your own. I also know that a lot of you feel that this is the way life should be for junior single sailors, and that they should earn the privilege of living like a normal adult, with the privileges, perks, and disadvantages that come with it. As a sailor who has been married and entitled to BAS and BAH my entire naval career, I have to disagree due to what I have seen. I would ask that you hear me out today as I go over the current problem, the solution and objectives of my proposal, and the benefits of sailors choosing their own housing. The inherent problem with the barracks, as I understand them, is that they are essentially an extension of a form of parental care, something adults should not be relying on for long periods of time. Sailors join the Navy straight from their parents' houses, where their parents tell them what to wear, what to eat, how to keep their living space, and carry much of the financial burden, so these young sailors have no idea how it costs to really live. The barracks and galley provide much the same structure, if not on a stricter level. Barracks residents are subject to weekly room inspections, where streaks on a microwave oven and a little bit of dust on a door frame can lead to a failure, and an otherwise neat and hygienic sailor being labeled as a slob and facing career consequences over minute details that most of us don't even take seriously in our own homes. In many cases, sailors do not even have their own bedrooms and must share with another sailor that's a stranger and completely unknown to them, with no privacy and no personal space. A lot of these rooms don't even have dividers in between the beds. And that just seems really wrong to me. Additionally, having eaten galley food before, it's no version of mom's home-cooked meatloaf and mashed potatoes. While sometimes, yes, this food is adequate, you'll find that many single sailors today would rather live on ramen, fast food, and whatever they can make in the crock pot they've got hidden in the closet. There is no doubt in my mind that the increasing reliance on Taco Bell and ramen by our junior single sailors is increasing waistlines and increasing physical readiness test failures. In fact, the Defense Department reports that nearly 6% of Navy sailors are obese. Obesity has no place in our armed forces, and we need to address that. However, food isn't the only problem in the equation here. Finances play a big part in our junior single sailors' lives. Because of the barracks system, they do not have many financial responsibilities. They may have a cell phone bill or a car payment, but they often see the rest of their paychecks as free spending money and treat it as such, saving little to nothing. So when they finally have an unexpected financial burden or responsibility, they are completely unprepared and end up relying on things such as payday loans, which are extremely predatory, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, which is actually a great resource, or, their parents to bail them out, which parents shouldn't have to do, especially when their sailor is in the armed forces. But this is because they have no grasp of adult financial responsibilities. And that's partly our fault as a Navy. This all compounds when they finally do meet the requirements for BAH and BAS and have no idea how to transition to adult life and budget for it. According to military.com, a survey showed that 27% of military members have more than $10,000 of credit card debt, compared to 16% of civilians. This is not something we can continue to ignore, and we must help our sailors better learn how to manage their money from their very first paycheck. My solution would help change this. I believe we could help develop our junior sailors to be more prepared to face adulthood by instating their basic allowances while giving them training and education on topics such as house hunting, household budgeting, cooking, nutrition, and a myriad of other topics. It is not my intent to just throw money to these sailors and let them go hog wild with all these paychecks. But instead of using our financial resources to maintain large barracks and galleys, we could funnel these same resources into training our sailors for life so that they're ready for it. This is not to say that I believe in removing all barracks and galleys. In situations such as sailors attending schools or temporary duty, I believe that barracks and galleys should be available because they're invaluable. However, sailors reaching their permanent duty station should at least be allowed the choice between living in the barracks and receiving those basic allowance packages. Now, I will explain the benefits of this arrangement. Firstly, like I mentioned, providing training in BAH and BAS to single sailors early on in their careers will make sure that they're more equipped for adulthood and the responsibilities that come with it. However, there are more benefits to my plan that you may not have considered. Due to the demographics of our Navy being heavily young and male, barracks can somewhat turn into frat houses. Now, this is not to be sexist, but unfortunately, according to the National Institute of Health, this demographic specifically is inclined to engage in impulsive or risky behavior more than other demographics, especially in large groups. Barracks residents may have parties that are heavy drinking is occurring on base, including by underage sailors. Barracks often turn into party central, which is exactly the impression of the Navy that we've been trying to fight against for years. Even with roving patrols, these parties still happen frequently and they get out of hand. If sailors are not living in a fraternity-type housing that the barracks inherently create, they will be less inclined to throw these types of parties where just anybody could show up and cause trouble. Another issue that has not been addressed is a large number of sexual assaults on sailors by other sailors, also called blue-on-blue assaults, happen on base, on barracks grounds. A study conducted by RAND Corporation in 2018 showed that sexual assaults were far more likely to happen on large installations with a high population of junior, single, younger sailors, which exactly fits the demographic of a majority of our barracks residents. Roving security in the barracks has helped immensely with this, but it's still not enough. The numbers aren't going down meaningfully, and we still have more work to do. If sailors are living in their own apartments or homes, there are fewer risks for potential victims due to fewer drunk sailors being clustered together, leading to bad situations and incidents on barracks grounds. In conclusion, I believe that moving sailors from the barracks way of life would be extremely beneficial to our sailors and the Navy as a whole. Sailors would be more prepared, more responsible, and less of a liability to the Navy and their fellow sailors. Thank you for taking my proposal into your consideration. Thank you. Also, for my fellow students, thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it.